Alex. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Where are you at in the world these days? I know you've been like traveling all over and living that VA life.
Yeah, so I'm currently in Orlando in Florida, and just last year I was going back and forth between Orlando and Atlanta, but that kind of it got a little bit expensive. But I'm gonna be traveling a lot this year. I'm very excited. I'm going to Guatemala for my birthday in a couple weeks, and then I'm gonna be in Europe
Nice.
for 3 months. So yeah, it's a lot of exciting stuff coming around.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Where in Europe are you going?
I'm going to Italy. It's been my dream to like go study Italian in Italy. So hopefully it all
Yes.
work out. And I've already talked to my clients and they're all very excited for me. I'll keep working while I'm there. I'll just have to figure out like the time difference, but I'm sure I'll manage it.
Yes, that's so exciting. And is it going to be aligned with when your client is also in Europe, or is that kind of TBD right now?
I think so. I think so. Like I know one of them is still like figuring out the exact dates, but I think it's gonna be the exact same time. So that's
That'll
also very
be,
exciting because she can visit me
yeah,
and I can visit her.
right. Exactly, and, like, you've got the time alignment too, which is probably gonna be, like, the biggest adjustment and going abroad
Yeah.
and things like that, so that's so exciting. I'm very jealous of your travels. Italy is amazing. I went there for a few weeks right before the pandemic, 2019.
Oh,
It was my last.
wow. So it was
In fact,
yeah,
I
it was, like, right before.
yeah, literally, it was a year before because it was March 2019, and I had never been before, and I had the best time, but I'm pretty sure that's, like, the last time I've been to Europe, so I'm well overdue.
Yeah, for sure, come visit me.
Yes, deal, deal. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. So, for everybody who's listening, we are the Money Bear Podcast, and I've got Alex on today. Alex is an incredible VA virtual assistant, owner of Duet Solutions, and I love talking about everything money on this podcast. And one of the big things that we have to talk about is income, side hustles. How do you live that remote life while owning your own business, things like that. And I know becoming a VA is something that a lot of people think about. So I was like, I'm going to bring
Mhm.
her on and talk about kind of what your journey has been and all that good stuff. So thank you again for coming on. Want to give your like little elevator speech on who you are and anything I missed?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here. This is, like, my first podcast, but hopefully not the last, and
Yeah, that
a
makes
little
me
bit
happy. I
about
didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, it's actually my first one, so I'm super happy I can do it with you. A little bit more about me, I actually, started as a talent agent. That was, like, my corporate job for 3 years, and it wasn't until I started thinking about my personal finance and investing that I realized that I needed to be making way more money to actually, like,
Mhm.
live that financial freedom life, so I think, that mentality of making more money is what led me to becoming a virtual assistant.
I love that. That's so cool. And how do you
Mhm.
like the transition from working a 9 to 5? I'm assuming with like working at a talent agency or being a talent agent, you probably have do you have strange hours? Do you have a regular 9 to 5 hours or what was that like?
Well, I thought it was gonna be a regular 9 to 5 when I was starting because fun fact, I actually started as an assistant, and then 2 weeks into the job, the talent agent at the office quit, and they were like, "Well, we either close the office or you can, like, manage all this talent." It was, like, over 1,000 people that we were managing at the time. So, yeah, it was kinda nerve-wracking, but I was like, "Okay, I have to do it or I'm gonna be without a job," and I'm pretty sure everybody will agree with me that the job application process is just horrible. It's just
Yeah.
the worst thing ever, in my opinion. So I was like, no, I'm gonna make this work. I don't know how, but I will learn because I don't want to keep applying to jobs. And
Mhm.
so that's how I managed it. But quickly I realized that it wasn't a 9 to 5 job. It was more like a 24/7 job, especially in the entertainment industry. Clients can call you at any time. They're like, hey, this model canceled, or we need someone for this commercial. Who do you have? And so there was really no work life balance, and I was miserable. I also didn't have a lot of time off to travel, which is my favorite thing to do, as we've
Mhm.
spoken a little bit. So I was just like, yeah, this is not working out for me. And then when I finally decided to leave, I was applying to other things in the entertainment industry, and everything was just sounding the same. Like, there's really no schedule in the entertainment industry.
Mhm.
That's just how the industry is. And I was like, as much as I love this industry, I don't think it's for me. So let me figure out what else I can do. And that's how I found out about virtual assistants.
I love that. I love that you came up with your own solution, but I also think it's really incredible that you didn't quit when that happened because that was probably such an incredible learning experience.
Oh
not only a
no.
learning experience in that you're like, I don't want to do this, but also like the having to work with 1,000 different personalities where you're the key point
Mm,
person with demanding brands, looking for things, last minute cancellations. I can only imagine the stress, but also like the people skills that you develop, the managing skills, the project management. Like, what a perfect role to
yes.
set you up for owning your own business.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, it was definitely a very stressful period, but I don't regret that I took that leap and that I stayed because it did teach me a lot. I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. I was by myself for a couple months and I was like, I need an assistant. Like, I need more help here. I need interns or something. But yeah, I managed through. And I think that really set me up for like how good of a VA I am right now because now I can manage my stress a little bit better. I'm more organized, more structured. So yeah, it definitely helped.
Yeah, I know her client and she's being very humble. She's very good at her job. She's a
Thank
fantastic
you.
VA. So I would love to talk to you kind of about like how you even got into this. What was the transition like? What kind of tips do you have? So let's talk about kind of first, how did you even figure out when you were in this talent agent position that you would even be interested in doing something like a virtual assistant?
Yeah, so like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was applying to jobs on the down low. I knew I wanted to get out, but I didn't want to quit before I had something lined up. It's just that's the type of person I am. I don't want to be like that much of a risk taker. I do have like the emergency fund and everything, but I was like, if I don't have to leave, let me just stay. So I was looking at jobs, nothing was like screaming at me. And then TikTok did its thing with the algorithm and it showed
Mm,
me a video about a virtual assistant. And literally every single thing she said was like, that's what I want. That's my dream life. That's literally what I want to do. What is this? What is a
TikTok.
virtual assistant? Yep. Yeah.
TikTok is life
And I always,
changing.
it really is. It really is. I know there's like so much out there, so much content now, but the algorithm just really gets you. And I mean, I like to say that I manifested it because I like sat down and wrote down every single thing that I wanted from a job. And then a couple of days later, the TikTok showed up in my screen. So the universe, the algorithm, whatever you want to call it, it just worked out for me. And so, something that I really do like about myself, and I'm really proud that I do, is that I know how to research. I will research something to make sure that it's actually like legit, that it's not a scam. Virtual assistant can sound like a scam because it's like, okay, so yeah, like, you work for yourself and you choose your clients and you choose how much money you make. So, how does this really work? Like, is this like an MLM? So I really researched it. I looked at a lot of different virtual assistants. I looked for the information that I was like, okay, is this going to be reliable long term? Because
Mm,
obviously, like, it sounds very good at the beginning, but like, how do you actually like keep the clients, make sure that the income is going to be there? The legalities was something that really scared me. You are an entrepreneur when you are a virtual assistant, you open your own business, so you have to work as a 1099 employee, or not employee, but like a independent contractor. So like the taxes and the insurance, all of that would scare
right.
me. So I was like, I want to make sure that I'm doing this right. And so I ended up finding a virtual assistant course that I really, really liked. It had really good testimonials. It really had a lot of support. They gave you templates. They worked with a lawyer for all the contracts. So that's what I decided to do. And I finished the course within a month, and then I gave myself a month to find clients. And when I finished the course, I put my 4-week notice with my job because I gave them a month. Again, I was
So
messaging
nice
all
of
the
you. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was actually really, really nice. I shouldn't have been as nice, but I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to leave the relationship like in bad terms, even though they're gonna take it in bad anyways because I'm leaving
Right.
like out of nowhere. But it wasn't really out of nowhere, in my opinion. I think they knew.
Yeah, and I mean, you were leaving to live the life that you want. You were leaving to
Mhm.
start your own business, which I think it's really hard to argue with that when you're like, yeah, no, I'm starting my own business. I want to point out a couple of things that you said because I think they're really key and I want to highlight it. When you said
Mhm.
I kind of manifested it, it's like, no, you really did because
Mhm.
that step of manifesting, I feel like half of manifesting is just getting really clear on what you want. And so many
Yes.
people miss that step, whether that's in their finances, whether it's in their job hunt, whether it's even in relationships. And it's like doing that it puts this certain lens on where now you are on the lookout for an opportunity that matches what you have already decided you wanted. Whereas like you go into the, universe looking for like, I'm just going to look at different opportunities that maybe are a right fit, maybe aren't. That's going to take a lot more time than being very aware of what you want. And then when you see that opportunity, going out and get it. So I want to say kudos to you for that, because I think that's huge.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think a lot of people miss the thing they miss about manifesting is that they don't get specific and they don't put a deadline. You have to get very specific, like, I am this by this time, and this is what's going to work out for me. And so, yeah, I got super specific. The amount of money I wanted to be making, the amount of time off that I wanted to have, all of that I wrote down, and it came true.
I love that. Well, congratulations on that. And then the other thing that you mentioned was, and I don't know if you are okay with talking about it, but the course that you took, like you said, there's so much bullshit out there. There's so
Mhm.
many courses that were run by people who never had a successful VA business, telling you how to like start a VA business and things like that. So, what course did you end up going with? And can you tell us a little bit about like what you got out of it, why you think that prepared you a little bit better? And by the way, my mom's in it now.
Oh my God, no way.
Yeah, my mom just
Really?
signed up. Yes, so my mom, she hasn't been working in a traditional sense, well, really actually at all, for the last like almost decade. And she used to be a nurse and she just got really burnt out on that. And her dream job is like a remote work, working with creatives
Mhm.
because she works for me, but she doesn't do enough for me to do it full time. So she's like kind of looking at getting some other clients and stuff. And I was like, let me ask Alex what course she took because I know it was a really good one and she highly recommended it. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's called the Virtual Savvy, and the course itself, it's called Savvy System, and it's run by a virtual assistant called Abby Ashley. She's been in the game, I think, since 2013. She's
Oh,
grown
wow.
yeah, she's been doing it for a long time, and she's grown her team. I think right now they're like over 20 people working for that company for her. So she's definitely grown it and expanded it. What I liked about Abby in specifically, or the Savage system in specific, was that it was a self-paced course. There were a lot of options out there that I really liked as well, but they were more like, oh, you have to be committed for 3 months, and we're gonna have
Mm,
live classes every couple of weeks, which is completely okay. I don't mind that, but I was in such a rush to get out of my corporate job that I was like, I need something that I can do at my own pace, because I know if I give myself a month, I will do this in a month. Like, I will stop going out, I will not go out on the weekends, watch movies, anything. So I like that it was self-paced. I also liked that they had all of this support with their community. They have a Facebook community, and I'm not really a fan of Facebook, but it does
mhm.
help when you want to have accountability, when you're not sure about something, that someone's going to be there to let you know if you're actually doing well, if you should change something, like if your pricing is correct, if something's not working out. They have live accountability classes, like where they can review your materials, and then you also have like the community where you can post questions. And then again, the fact that they had the templates for the contracts for the clients, once you're onboarding them, they would have templates for the discovery call, which is what you have with the client when you want to sign them up, like just to make sure that it's actually a good match. They had templates for everything. So I found myself not really having to like keep digging on the internet, like, okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? Everything was just in that course immediately. So I really like that. And I'm trying to think of something else. They also have something that they call the Savvy Vault, which is a separate package that you buy, but I ended up purchasing it because I just didn't know how much more experience I was gonna need. So the Savvy Vault, I'm not sure if they offer it anymore because I signed up like over a year ago, but the Savvy Vault was something where they would have classes on different programs that you might need as a
Oh,
virtual
yeah.
assistant. So
So
yeah, so
they
something
do
for
still have that. Yeah, I think it's embedded in the course now because there's like
oh,
my
okay,
mom
okay.
showed me the other, and I don't know for sure. I'd have to ask her, but she showed me and she was like, there's 4 pages of like different programs, like from Instagram, Honeybook, like all these different things. I was like, dang, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like if you're afraid, like a client might ask for something like, "Oh, do you know how to use this program?" Like you can actually like go into the course and just watch it really quick and be like, "Yeah, I know how to use this. I already have the step by step on it."
Yeah, and that's nice too, because I even thinking about the Facebook group, like on my business coaching course that I not for business coaching, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The course that taught me how to make funnels, they have a Facebook group as well, and you have lifetime access, which is really nice because it's like, maybe couple months down the road after you finish the course, you've got a specific question about like, what do people use for this or whatever. It's really nice to be able to get feedback just from the community in general. So that's awesome. I'm glad you had a good experience with it because, like I said, there's so many times when you sign up for a course and you invest a ton of money and you're like, is this going to be the thing or not?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to have my mom in it as well. She's loving it so far.
Oh,
So
tell her to let me know how it's going. I really want to
yeah,
know.
I'll let you know. She yesterday had in the course, I don't know at what point she's at, but there's a portion where Abby, is Allison Abby or Abby Allison?
Abby Ashley.
Oh, two A names.
Yeah.
Well, there's a point where she said, I want you to just post about it on your social media and tag me just to like get yourself started. And she like called me into her room the other day and was like, will you look at my post? I'm about to post this. Is this okay? And I was like, yes, just do it. I'm so proud of her for just diving right in because, she's almost 60. Starting a business at 60 years old has got to be totally
Yeah.
terrifying. So I'm really proud of her.
Me too. And I think that's such a key point, and I'm glad that Abby also like teaches you that in the course. You just have to start. You have to stop being
Mhm.
afraid to show up because that's the first step. That's the hardest step. It's just starting. After that, you're gonna get it.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. Even in investing, we talk about that too. So,
Mhm.
for you, after taking the course, what were kind of your first steps? So, you set a deadline for yourself. You're like, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to get a first client in this 30-day time frame. What next? Like, what were the first moves that you made?
So part of the course is also like goes through the process of like opening the business, the legalities and all of that. So that's also super important, just making sure that if you're gonna open an LLC, you do that, you register it with your state, opening a business bank account, all of that is important. I like to be prepared beforehand. So by the time like I have someone in the discovery call and they're ready to like close the deal, they already have the contract in place, the invoice information, everything. I wanted to be ready to go. So I did that even before I started reaching out. Once I started reaching out, I did a couple of methods. I emailed people and I also opened my own social media account. So I started promoting myself on social media. And then I joined different Facebook groups for the type of clients that I was looking for in case they had any questions and stuff like that. I could be able to answer their questions and then promote my services. The key difference here being like the email, I did a lot of like cold pitching emails, but I made them unique in the way that I did videos introducing myself. And so I think that set me apart because like sometimes emails can be just so cold in general. Like you don't even know who this person is. Why are they reaching out? What can they offer? So I did that a little bit different and it really worked out in my favor because I really got like an 80% response back from the emails that I sent.
Wow.
And yeah, it's really good. It was really good. And so I definitely recommend it. Like just figure out something that's gonna set you apart. If you don't like video, like if you're a little bit introverted, you don't have to do video, but make something different, like just don't write an email saying like, oh hey, I'm a virtual assistant, contact me if you need my services. Like that's just so boring,
It's
honestly.
dry, it's boring, and you don't know like the person. So it's like, well, how do I,
Mhm.
tell you apart from somebody else? And like as a creator, we are so scared when we're like hiring our first virtual assistant. We're like,
I
am
can
I gonna mess
imagine, yeah.
this up? Because it's like we've created something that's our baby. We've created this thing that we've worked
Mhm.
so hard, and a lot of us are perfectionists and control freaks. So it's like giving away even a portion of the business to somebody you don't know can be really scary. But I will say your video definitely worked because I remember when your client hired you and I remember asking how
Mhm.
she found you. She's like, she found me and she sent me this amazing email and it had a video and I was like done. And so that
Yeah.
specifically, I remember her saying that video specifically was like really what sent it home for her. So I know as like
Yeah.
somebody who, if I was looking for somebody and I saw like that they took that time to put together that, I'd be like, this person goes above and beyond. I'm in.
Yeah, and I think that's the key, right? I just got going above and beyond. And I think what made me decide on a video was the fact that I was a talent agent. I would get so many emails every day of like submissions, and they would be just, again, so impersonable. I was like, okay, but like, who really are you? So with this client in particular, like I had been following her for so long on social media that I felt like I already knew her, like she was my friend. So I was like, okay, I know her, but she doesn't know me. So let me just introduce myself on video and like explain who I am. And so I think, yeah, that was what sealed the deal. But it also like, even though other people might have not hired me from that video, at least they responded to my email. They were like, thank you so much for taking the time. Like, I really wish you the best with your business. I'm not interested at this time, but I wish you the best, you know? So,
Yeah, truly, the 80% response rate is huge. I mean, 90% of emails that are pitching me go straight into my spam because I'm like, I'm not looking for anything right now. But at the same
mhm,
time, if somebody put in that level of effort, like you got to applaud it. You know, we all know what it's
thank
like to
you.
launch a business. So very cool. Okay, so you started sending it out. What? So your client that you have now, was that the first client that you?
No, I actually had another one already. So I ended up closing 3 clients in 2 days. So I had
Holy
back-to-back
cow!
discovery calls. Yeah. So that was another thing. You know, obviously at the beginning I was just very nervous. I had put in my 4-week notice or whatever at my job. And so I was like, okay, like I really want to make sure that I have clients. So I did everything. I reached out to everyone, not really thinking that I was going to get such a big response back. And so when I did and I started closing clients, that's when I realized that I not only had done a really good job, but I also had priced myself very low. So I needed to like
Mm,
increase my prices immediately because I was like, okay, like if this is being so easy to close, is because I'm not charging high enough. Like I need to be
that
charging
is
way more.
so key. We tell in my
Hmm.
other business where we're coaching other like money creators, that's what we always tell them, especially with like one-on-one coaching and brand deals. It's like if they say yes immediately, you need to ask for money, more money. I love that you mentioned that. Okay, so then were these when you sign these clients, were they for a set period of time or was it just like a 30-day trial? What was the structure that you set up?
Yeah, so you can decide that on your own. Like when you're having the discovery call, I did tell all my clients that I wanted to have a 3-month trial period,
Mhm.
since that you cannot cancel with before the 3 months were up. After the 3 months, we would reevaluate and decide like, okay, like do we want to sign for a year? Do we want to just keep it month by month? Like obviously depending on their services, because I personally offer administrative and social media management services. So they can be month to month or they can be longer times at a time. So after the 3 months, from the 3 clients that I had signed at the beginning, I kept going with two. And with the third one, it was actually not because they didn't want to work with me, it's because I didn't want to work with them anymore. I was like, no, this is not
Mm,
for me. I don't like this client. So that's also the beauty
yeah.
of being a virtual assistant, that you can really decide who you work with and who you give your time to.
Yeah, no, that's huge, and especially after having worked in the talent agency where you didn't have, you know, a choice on who you work with, that must feel
Hmm.
so good to just be able to be like, "Nah."
Yeah, like, no, this is driving me crazy. No, thank you. Like, I don't have time for this.
Yeah. Okay. So for folks who are listening and they're like, this is kind of cool. I love that she sets her own hours and she's able to work with who she wants to work with. How would you explain to somebody what a virtual assistant even is, specifically in your space? So you're specifically focusing on social media, like VA specifically, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, a virtual assistant is just someone that is there to support any entrepreneur that is looking to grow their business. So if you're an entrepreneur who is like not having enough time during the day, you're focusing on the little tasks, like they're taking too much time for you and you don't really like doing them, then you should probably outsource whatever it is that you need to get done. And that's what a virtual assistant is. Like you are, there's someone that you outsource to help you with your business. Now, if you're a virtual assistant yourself, there's so many different things that you can offer as services. You don't really have to necessarily be a creative a virtual assistant with like social media management or graphic design or web design. You can do administrative work, you can do tech work. So like if you're really good with coding or you're really good with website upkeeping, there's also
Mhm.
bookkeeping virtual assistant. Like really you can be a virtual assistant for anyone
Anything.
because you can do anything.
I love that. And so, what are some of the tasks that a social media virtual assistant focuses on? Like, tell us, like, what is your day to day like? Like, do you set your own hours? Is there like a required amount of work that you have to do every day? Are you working with multiple clients? Tell us a little bit more about like what you're currently doing.
Okay, so right now I work with 2 clients. I work with my big client who takes up the majority of my time because she has me for 100 hours a month, which is about
Mhm.
20 to 25 hours a week. At the beginning, I would actually go a little bit overtime from that time because I was getting to know like her systems, her processes and everything like that. But now I've gotten to a point where I can do everything very quickly. So we're not really at an hourly base anymore. We're more like at a package base, which basically means that I do all the tasks that need to be done in a certain amount of time. And then with my other client, I just do administrative work. So I do more customer service and calendar management and scheduling. So it's completely different. And I just focus on that other client about an hour a day because they
Mm,
don't really need me for that much time every day. So a typical day in my life or like as a work life looks like I wake up, usually go to the gym as soon as I wake up. And then while I'm at the gym, I actually hit post on one of my clients' posts because I like manually have to do it sometimes. If I don't have to do it manually, then I just schedule it on later, which is a scheduling social media platform. And then after that, I probably come home, chill for a little bit, and then I really get started with the rest of the day around like 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. And that just goes everywhere from like designing social media posts, scheduling them, making sure that they're ready for the rest of the week, checking emails for both of my clients. If there's something specific that needs to be researched for any of them, I go ahead and do that. But for social media specifically, the tasks that you do are most of the time researching trends, which is my favorite part in all honesty, because that means that I just get to sit down on TikTok or Instagram and just scroll and see what audio is trending, what like trend is good to be used. And then I put it all together for my clients. I'm like, hey, maybe you should be thinking about this for a potential post. And then also designing the graphics. So if it's like a carousel with information, I design those. I use Canva. It's like super, super
Mhm.
easy to use and I love it. I also do this hashtag strategy. So, I like put together the hashtags for a post to do well. What else? I engage. So I answer DMs, answer comments, I do the stories, everything like that. So it just basically is
So
making sure that
much.
yeah, well, yeah, I feel like it's not that much, but then I say it out loud. I'm like, okay, yeah, it could be a lot.
It's amazing because in my mind, I'm just thinking like, wow, it would be so nice to have somebody doing all of that for me. I'm
Yeah,
like taking note. I'm like, my biggest thing is always like, it's scary for me to give like my Instagram login to somebody, you know? And I think that's a lot of creators' big fear is, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to do this. I'm passing over the reins, you know?
have you used LastPass? Have you used LastPass?
So I need to use LastPass. That's what I would do once so my goal this year is to hire someone like you who is like able to
Okay.
do my social media management, potentially like also has a bit of a writing background who can like take posts, turn them into blog posts and get those up as
Hmm.
well. I don't know if that's going to be one or two people, but yes, that is definitely on my list of like I have to get a LastPass so that I don't have to worry about somebody like having my actual passwords, but being able to
Yeah.
log in anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I don't have any of my clients' passwords at all. Like we just use
Mhm.
LastPass. So if we were to part ways or stuff like that, like I wouldn't even have it written it down. Like one day, like
Right.
if I want to be, oh, let me just go in, which I wouldn't do. This is not the type of person I
Of
am. But
course
if you're
not. Right.
trained,
Yeah, it's
there's a
just
way
this
for you
like
to know.
this paranoid fear that I haven't had anybody do it yet. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna have to get over that fear, Chloe.
No, I know it makes sense. But I mean, that's why it's so important to like make sure that you actually match and like have a feel with your virtual assistant, like you like
Yeah.
their energy, like you trust them. Because yeah,
Mm.
you're basically handing them your baby, which is like your
Yep.
business. So yeah.
100%. So you're doing a lot of social media management, DMs, posting, all that good stuff, design even. Anything else that you're doing?
Well, for one of my clients, I do basically everything in the sense that, if there's like a little task like, oh, hey, I need to put together a spreadsheet of all the posts that I've done on Instagram. I've done
Oh
that.
yeah.
Or if I
Mhm.
like, there's like little projects here and there that come up. But when there's something that I don't know how to do, I'm honest with them. Like, hey, I don't really know how to do this. I can use your hours to research it, or you can outsource it to another expert. They've done
Mhm.
both. Like sometimes they just have me research it, and sometimes they just like, I don't even want to worry you about or like make you worry about this. I'll just hire someone else, and that's fine by me.
That makes sense. Very cool. So, for somebody who is interested in going into this, starting their own virtual
Mhm.
assistant business, what would you say your biggest tips for them are? Like top 3 tips.
The top three tips is just to first narrow down what your services really are. Just make sure that you know what you're really good at. It's okay to not know everything. You're not expected to know everything. So don't feel like overwhelmed, like, oh, I have to be an expert at this and this before I can even become a virtual assistant. No. Like, I'm pretty sure that whatever your experience is with a past job or just life experience in general, you can do something to be a virtual assistant. You don't necessarily have to go to school for this or anything like that. My
Mhm.
second tip would be to not just accept any client for the sake of having clients. I know it can be scary to think, well, I need to have income, like I do need to have clients, so I'm just gonna accept whoever like wants to hire me. At the end of the day, I feel like getting a client is kind of like dating. You have to like try it around, like see who actually appreciates you and understands your job and how you work. So I was very lucky because I was able to sign really good clients from the beginning. But I think it was because I did my research before I even approached them. I didn't
Mm,
just send my email to everyone that I could think of. No, I really thought about like, okay, this person would be a good match with me because this is what I like about their business. This is what I like about how they're doing business. This is what I could do for them. So I really took the time to research who I wanted to work with, and it paid out in my favor. So I think the third tip would be to just really research who you're reaching out to, and whoever reaches out to you. Just because they reached out and they were recommended doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to be a good match. It's important to like really make sure that's someone you want to work with and you want to see growth with them, because that's the thing, like you're working for another business, and of course whatever you do for them, it's going to like take them to a different level, so you want to make sure
mhm.
that it's actually a business that you want to support.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And would you say like some of the biggest issues that VAs face when working with a client is like micromanaging or just general like rude, too high expectations? Like what are the biggest issues folks face when finding clients?
Yeah, I think big issue is that a lot of people don't know what virtual assistants are, and they don't know how virtual
Mm,
assistant works. So they're like, "Oh, well, you're my assistant, so you're going to be available to me 24/7." No, that's not the case at all. I'm available to you a certain amount of hours a month, but I get to decide when those hours are and when I do my work. So, you have to have
mhm,
that line of communication with the client of like, "Okay, well, these are my hours, but you're expected to hear from me like every 72 hours, not if you message me tonight, you're gonna hear from me tonight immediately." So yeah, I think that's one of the big difficulties. I also think a big difficulty is just not being sure of how to like really package yourself and like how to price yourself, because like you can see the virtual assistant hourly rate and think like, oh, that's really high for an assistant, but it's not really that high when you think about the fact that they're an independent contractor and they have to pay for their own taxes and their own insurance,
mhm,
their own um, work materials. So it's just making sure that you find the client that really understands that you're actually a benefit to them and you're actually helping them by releasing some of their work. So it
mhm.
is finding the middle ground again, because I made that mistake at the beginning, right? I priced myself very low. So it's just making sure that you're understanding who your market is, because of course, like if you're working with solopreneurs or small business owners, they're not going to have a really big social media marketing budget. But if they
Right.
see the results and you can bring them in 3 months, 6 months, and that's another thing also that I'm kind of deviating here. But with social media management, you're not going to see results in the first month. Social media
Right.
takes time. You have to like really study it, what's working, what's not. So that's also why it's really important to give yourself a grace period, a trial period, and then you can say like, okay, well, this isn't working out, yeah, maybe we need to switch it up, or like, yeah, maybe it's being a little bit too expensive, I can lower my rate a little bit. But I've never lower my rate, I always increase it.
Heck yes. Oh my God. What a way to finish your pieces of advice. Is like I never lower my rates, I always increase it. Hell yeah.
Yeah, you should increase it with
Speaking
every single client.
I fully believe that and agree with that because I mean, you only have more and more experience and more value to add to somebody's business. Do you mind talking a little bit about rates? Like, what are the ranges that people can expect or kind of
Mhm.
ballpark when going into doing something with like virtual assistants? I know a lot. I feel like the one I hear the most is around $50 an hour.
Yeah, so I would say $45 to $50 an hour is like an industry standard. That's just what a virtual assistants do. Now, if they're like admin, they can be a little bit lower, like $30, $35. But anything lower than that is actually like you're not gonna really be making a profit. I started at 25 and I was like, big mistake. No, it was really low.
25?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, no wonder everybody was like, "Yes," immediately hired on. How much can you work?
I That's one of my biggest things. Like I know I'm good, but I don't trust myself for being that good. So I always get like very nervous. Like I'm like, is somebody actually gonna pay $25 an hour? Well, now they're paying way more, so I know they will. That's a good starting base. Obviously, again, it's gonna depend on your services. If you're someone who's doing website design, you don't have to
Mhm.
charge by the hour. You charge by package, like you charge by a website. and that could be
Mhm.
like $2,000 for a website, and it actually takes you like $2, 2 hours to do. So it's like $1,000 an hour, but it's gonna
Mhm.
depend how you package it. And like I mentioned a little bit at the beginning, you start at an hourly rate, but then you quickly turn into a package rate. Hourly is really just more at the beginning to like get a hang of how long things are taking you. Then you like start doing things very quickly, so you don't really have to be doing it by hour.
That makes sense. Very cool. That's amazing. I love it. I'm excited for my mom to listen to this and get really
Yeah.
excited as well. So,
Let her know that she can reach out to me if she has any questions, because I know it can be like a little bit overwhelming with so much information out there.
well, thanks, Alex. I'm sure that she'll be very touched by that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll keep you posted on what her journey is. All right, I have a final fun question that I ask everybody, but before we get to it, tell everybody where they can find you, where can they connect with you, and are you taking new clients?
I am currently not taking new clients, but I'm probably gonna be taking new clients in the future because I'm looking into expanding my team. I'm very excited about that. So I'm
Woo!
going to like work. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. Yes, I'm like scared because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to be like a boss now. Like this is really weird, but I'm very excited because it's like the next step for my business. I also want to do my course one day. I like my own virtual assistant course, especially in Spanish, because there's not a lot of
Mm.
like options out there, and I'm bilingual. I'm like Venezuelan, so definitely want to do that. But you can find me on Instagram at Duet Solutions. TikTok it's alex.duetsolutions, and YouTube Shorts, which is also like getting very big, is Duet Solutions as well.
Awesome. And we'll leave links to that in the show notes. Very cool. And congratulations on expanding your business. That's so exciting. And like, man, do you think that Alex a few years ago when she was working at the talent agency would have like believed how successful you've been in your VA business?
No, not at all. I was actually thinking about that yesterday because I made a post about like how miserable I was when I was in corporate America and a talent agent. I was like, wow, like how quick life can change for the better. You just have to believe in yourself and like again start and just do it.
Yes, for sure. Preach, preach, cosign. Okay, my final question is what's your very first money memory? Totally not related to
My
virtual
first
assistants.
money memory. I mean, yeah, it goes hand in hand because I wanted to make more money. But my first money memory, trying to think, I think it's not necessarily like a good memory. It was more like, again, I'm Venezuelan, so growing up, we didn't necessarily have like the most amount of money. My dad, an aviator, so he worked for like the military and back in Venezuela. And I just remember comparing my life with like my other family and my friends. And I was like, oh, I just wish like my parents made more money so like we could travel more. Even though my dad was a pilot, so we would travel a lot. But it was just like that comparison, and now looking back, I think like, wow, I didn't really realize how good I had it, even the way I
Mm.
thought we had it bad. Like when you're a kid, you just always comparing and wanting more. But now that I'm a grown up and I look back, I'm like, no, wow, my parents gave me a lot, even though I thought we didn't have a lot.
Yeah, that's so interesting to look back and see like what our perspective was then versus what reality was. Do you think that it pushed you to want to make a lot of money and to like really hustle and build your own business?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I always wanted to have like that freedom to be able to travel without any, I don't know what the word would be, like any constraints. Like if I want to do this
Mm.
activity, like let's go do it. If we want to eat at this restaurant, let's go eat there. So I wanted to make enough money to be able to do all of that and also like have a job that would give me the freedom to be able to do that. And so now I do have it. But I will say that both of my parents have always been like very big on managing your money, like making sure that you're saving. But now I'm the one teaching them, like, yeah, guys, we need to save, but we also need to invest. Like, where's the investing account? Like, where's the retirement plan here? Especially in Hispanic families, you don't really have those conversations. So
Right.
it makes me proud to know that now, like, I've turned the tables on them. I'm like, okay, you taught me all of this. Now it's time for me to teach you guys because
Yeah.
I have to make moves.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You're changing the generational wealth trend. You're making it happen. So I love
Yes.
that. Well, that's so cool. Well, thank you again for coming on. I think that this is a really cool episode, and I'm excited for folks to hear that how viable becoming a VA really is if you're willing to put the work into
Yes.
it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
having me again. I'm so happy.
Of course. All right, my money bears. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I think that talking about income, whether it's through starting your own business, whether it's through a side hustle, whether it's whatever, is so important. I mean, we're on the money journey. We can manage our money to a T, but if we aren't also working on increasing our income, whether through a side hustle or whether through owning our own businesses, we gotta know that there's always a cap on what we can manage and there's never a cap on what we can make. I'm excited to see what Alex continues to do. She's so good at her job. You can tell she's really passionate about it. She's doing things that are improving her work all of the time. But I hope that if you're on the fence about thinking about becoming a VA, that this either encouraged you or made you realize maybe that's not the path that you want to go on. So I'm excited for my mom to listen to this. And I'm also feeling more invigorated to hire a virtual assistant. So keep your eye out if those who are listening are like, Chloe, I want to start a virtual assistant business, or Chloe, I already got one going. I will be sending out an email probably relatively soon with a job description. So just make sure that you're on my email list. The way to get on my email list is if you've ever downloaded my freebie, or if you've ever downloaded or attended the investing class, you should already be on my email list. But if you're not, just DM me on Instagram and I will send you the opt-in so that you can be notified when Bear Money Coach has an opening. So I'm excited / nervous, but that is one of my really big goals, and to bring on a new virtual assistant this year. Sadly, Alex is not available yet. She will have a new business soon, or an expanded business soon, where she can take on more clients, but I'm hoping to hire before then. So anyway, I hope you guys found that helpful. It just sounds like get started, know who you want to help, which this is the same in all the businesses. You've got to get started. You can't just be thinking about the thing. You've got to do some research and get started. Don't spend too much time doing the research. Get started, because you're going to learn a lot more as you continue. And then number 2, make sure you know who you want to help. We cannot be everything to everyone. You'll notice that my content, the stuff that I talk about, that's not meant for everyone. Not everyone is going to resonate with the kind of content that I create, and that's okay. I don't want to help. It's not that I don't want to help everybody, but there's a very specific audience that I do want to help and that I'm good at helping. So you have to figure out who is that audience for you, no matter what kind of business that you're starting in, and don't undercharge, don't undersell yourself. So I'm really grateful that Alex was willing to share rates. Like I said, I have heard the average around $50, $45 to $50 an hour. So that seems in line with what she's talking about too. So anyway, if you guys want to learn more, check out the show notes. We've got links to everything down there. We've got a link to my free guide in the show notes as well. That's available at thelazyinvestorscourse.com, or you can just head on over to clobear.com, where we've got tons of free information, free guides, free classes, all that good stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.